Okay, good morning, everyone. So welcome to the last later call of 2019. That's pretty cool. So I wanted to pop on because I just had some different things to share. I am in Brooke Hemingway's business course, and it's been so good. And I wanted to share just some things that I'm learning, or that this past year I've learned. And anyways, so in 30 minutes, Amanda, my assistant's gonna pop on and share some stuff. We're kind of chatting about. It might be helpful if she pops on and just shares kind of what she does for me and things like that. So, but I thought we'd chat a little bit before she pops on. So, okay. So I took some notes so I wouldn't forget the things that I wanted to share. I kind of shared about this on the Christmas party call, but just like the significance, I was thinking about we're ending a decade and then starting a new one. I mean, yes, it's cool because we're starting a new year, but we're also starting a new decade. And so I just feel like that's super significant in that it's a new chapter. There's a new season, new beginning. And I know some people had a really hard 2019. And I mean, for lots of different reasons, there's personal and business, and really it's all kind of interconnected. My big mantra is nothing's a failure if we've learned. And so in the life things, in the business things, like as we're learning in motherhood, like all the things, we're learning. And so that's a win, right? God's teaching us things. I was really challenged by Amy's charge to just seek for a word for the year, like a word, but also a scripture to back up the word, because she was saying that, what is a word without the word backing it? So I was really challenged by that, especially by the thought of pay attention, like listen this month. That was really spoke to me, because I was like, oh, that's really true, because she said a lot of times, the Lord does have a word for us to kind of hallmark or benchmark our year, and a scripture to back that, but we have to be positioning ourselves to be to be listening and conscious of that. So I don't know, I just was challenged by that. And I'm actually going to make a post or do a video, I think, on Facebook Live just about that, because it's the word for the year thing is something I've practiced for a long time, but I know Amy and Lisa have really encouraged people to take it another step and get a scripture to back that. I might do that with my kids too. But anyways, and the other thing I was thinking about is having like a decade vision. Like 2020 starts a new era, or whatever, starts a new season. And I think, like, even within our business, I was thinking, Plexus is the dream maker, and it can be even more the dream maker. Like, as we think back through like why we started Plexus, and thinking through like the dreams that we have for what we want it to be for our families, for the ability to give really big to the missions that we care about, things like that, and to be thinking towards that end. And I guess that's kind of the tenor of the call when I had a burden to share about, because it can be as big as we want it to be, in our businesses. And I want us to be thinking, if my business doubles, triples, quadruples in the next year, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, like, what does that look like? And 2019 for me, my word for the year was joy. And last year at this time, I was in this space, this frustrated space, not in a really like horribly, where it disabled me, but it was just like there were spaces in my life that were just frustrating, but I was solution oriented, and the things that I did in the past year have really helped set me up for joy and peace in my home, in my heart, and my business. And so I wanted to share some of those things, just because sometimes I think that we can hold ourselves back. Limiting beliefs, and this is something that Brooke is talking about in her business course, is limiting beliefs. And and even identifying what those limiting beliefs are. For me, it's been, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time for XYZ, exercise. I don't have enough time to work my business. I don't have enough time to homeschool my kids, like all of those things. And like figuring out how to master and budget time. And some of you are awesome at this already, but that's just with the space I was in a year ago. And I think because I was so opposed to like allowing certain things in my business or in my life, it held me back. And I think in order for our businesses to be that dream maker for us, where they, double in size, I don't know what so you guys have various goals. So some of you, your big thing is getting to Emerald, having a 6-figure income, what that means for your family, the Hawaii trip, a vehicle allowance and things like that. And some of you are thinking diamond and, in a certain time frame. And in order to double, quadruple, whatever the size of our businesses, we have to think think along different lines. And I guess that's what I wanted to kind of open up conversation about, because in order to grow bigger, a lot of times you have to think bigger and we have to do things differently. So the way we've always done things may not be the same way we do things, when we have a senior ruby size business or an emerald size business or sapphire size business. So let's see. I know the Chris Harder podcast, he talked about one thing that they should have done sooner, and this is a hallmark of highly successful people, is leverage. And he said, leverage sooner than you think you need to. And that really spoke to me, because I was like, that is so true. And Amanda Sai is a friend of, like a personal friend of mine. She's done, she was a teller at a bank that we have utilized for years. And I met her when my kids were babies and her son was a baby. So I've kind of known her, and she's been trustworthy and just a sweet person. Like, she was more of an acquaintance, but she came to me like 2 years ago, maybe, offering, if I needed any business assistant work. And I kind of blew it off at the time, I guess, just because I didn't, I wasn't thinking along those lines. But it was actually halfway into last year. And this was actually even, I was just kind of in the process. Jessica Huffley, she said, figure out how much you make per hour. And she actually did this with us on an accountability call. She said, okay, take how much you make per month and figure out how many hours you work per month. So figure out your hours per week and then multiply by 4. And then take that number that you earn per month and divide it by the number of hours to figure out how much you are getting paid per hour that you work your business. Which one makes you aware of, when do I work my business? Is it like willy-nilly, nooks and crannies all the time? And do you have concentrated sit-down times where you have an hour chunk, a 2-hour chunk, where you can actually figure out how much you make? And I know Brooke Hemingway said this on the call the other day, and she said, and she's teaching everyone from like silvers through diamonds. And she said, figure out how much you make per hour. And she said, if you don't know, you're at least worth $100 an hour. She's like, think along those lines, because in order to delegate, we think about what could I outsource to someone and pay them $10 to $15 an hour to do? Is that worth it? If they're able to free me up for 5 or 10 hours a week. She said, when you're a gold ambassador, figure out a percentage. Maybe it's 10%, or a certain amount that you make that you're willing to outsource so that you can concentrate on the most important things. And I should have been willing to leverage sooner. I just wasn't in the brain space to do that. And I know, can you all see this screen share? Brooke has been talking about good, better, best, and talking about the things that truly move the needle forward in our business. And a lot of times we avoid the things that will move the needle forward because we love certain aspects of our business that aren't necessarily things that move it forward, or we just are in that space of avoidance and procrastinating because there's just certain things that are more comfortable in our business. And so she's been encouraging to figure out what you love, like what brings you joy. Let me see where that, oh, here it is. Gives me life. And Jessica had us do this also. And then gives me death. And so reflecting on what those things are in your business, and also the things you're really good at that no one can do but you. And when I started thinking through the tasks that I had to do, I was like, this is silly. Why am I sitting here in this space of frustration, trying to pre-schedule a bunch of, just it made me think through what are the things, like I can't delegate coaching calls to someone else. I can't delegate my own posting on social media to someone else. I can delegate some other things like pre-scheduling posts on a team page, making graphics and posting, which is Amanda's going to talk through some of that stuff. But it was just kind of a aha moment for me. What do you love and dislike, or what does it fuel you? How much do you make per hour? Yes, the percentages. And then time management, thinking through the good, better, best, and then cutting the fluff. She said, Brooke was saying, how many minutes a day do you spend willy-nilly on Facebook? You think you waste 30 minutes? And she said, if you multiply 30 minutes times 7 days times 30 days in a month, she's like, you will get your time back by even taking back 30 minutes and reclaiming that. And so anyways, she's been, this past week, her big coaching has been on mastering your time and your priorities. And so I was just in this space of frustration over I don't have time. And it made me mad enough to do something about it, because even, for example, exercise, 20 minutes a day. I'm like, okay, I got to the point where I was like, this is ridiculous. If I say I don't have 20 minutes in a 24-hour period to step out of the house for 20 minutes and go on a run or a walk or do a quick exercise video, that's silly. Like, I am not being a good steward of my time. So I love this quote. It said, the dream demands that we get better because others are depending on us. And I've been really encouraged by Brooke in the fact that she said this business is a process of building and rebuilding. And so she said it's actually, this would be considered a get rich quick scheme if you are of the opinion that you can do something right one time and then make $500,000 a year. She's like, I don't know what universe that you live in, but that only happens to 0.00001% of people ever. And I guess just hearing her speak truths out loud and this imposter syndrome, like, who am I, to be leading a team? Who am I to be so successful? And even the entitlement, like, I've already done this. Like, I've spent 4 years doing this. Now it's other people's turn to go do the scary things, to start recruiting, to really, get some heavy hitter business people on board. And she spoke into that. She's like, you know what? She's like, I've struggled with, I've dealt with that. And she's like, that's not this business. This business is, we have to fall in love with the process of connecting with people, of building new friendships, of helping people with what we know we have to offer them. And I liked what Lisa said the other day on the Marco Polo thread, because she's going to do Brooke's business coaching and her Align retreat, the virtual one. And she said, we're going to be investing our time here. And she's like, I want to go to business school. Like, I want to learn to get better. And if we're going to be spending our time here, we might as well make it well worth it by learning the skill set, And then she was saying she's going to ask her business builders to do Brooke's coaching course. And she's like, if we don't ask, the answer is always no. She's like, I really think it can help people get past the stuck part. So, and Brooke also, I'll say really quick, she defined professional network marketing versus accidental network marketing. And she says, basically, when your well runs dry, you'll figure out if you're an accidental network marketer or if you're a professional one. And she said, the accidental network marketer kind of, maybe rides off some company momentum, maybe social marketing is new. And so you start sharing on Facebook and people just come to you. And she said, so when that well runs dry, what are you going to say? Or when you start making a lot of money, almost maybe without a whole lot of effort, you have this imposter syndrome of, well, I don't really deserve that. And she said the professional network marketer knows how to add value, attract people, and reach out. I thought that's really good. I appreciated that. So anyways, that's just a little bit of space of where I'm at and what I'm learning. And let's see. 2 other things I'll just share quickly that Brooke has been talking about. She was talking about a 90-day prep push for your next rank up. And she said that's what she did. She did a March, April, May. Yeah. So from March to May, she had to grow 1,500 points to go double diamond. And she said it took that space of time to make that happen for her. And let me see if I can find the notes on that. Oh, here they are. I just thought that was a good kind of, prepping for 2020 to think through like when your next rank up's going to be and how to prep for that. And I think a lot of times you thinking through like what you want to focus on in those 90 days, that's the key, because I think all of us have within us what we need. Oh, here we go. She said, committed to the time and 100% to the goal to achieve it. And she said, speak life every day into that goal that you have. And she said, in 30 days, if someone's committed to their goal, they can do more than they expect. She said, I had someone grow 350 points and go Ruby. She said, within 30 days, I had someone grow 150 points to go senior gold. And she said, it was head down, blinders on, head down. That was their sole focus. And they were so committed to the goal and mastering their time and priorities that they made that happen. But I was just inspired by that. And also this line, I am qualified to develop blank. And so basically whatever rank that you're currently at, you're qualified to develop people to that rank. And so that was just really encouraging to me. So saying, I'm qualified to develop senior rubies. I'm qualified to develop rubies. I'm qualified to develop diamonds. Like that was just so encouraging to me to just have that spoken out. Like, you know what? I know, like we know how to develop people. We know the ropes because we're where they want to be, right? So that was just encouraging to me. Babe, do you want to pipe in before Amanda pops on?
Before what?
Before Amanda pops on.
Yeah. Yo. Sorry, I'm making coffee. The only thing I'd say is just that this is really the only thing people can share is what they're learning. So I guess what I'm learning is that, and I've messaged several of you and just explained kind of where I've been and my thought process the last few months. But one thing I just want to encourage everybody with is that really, I think clear vision really helps you to set your schedule. If we know where we're going and why, I think that it really helps to set the schedule better. Otherwise, because that's kind of where I was the last few months. I just didn't know where we were going exactly, or why. I'd kind of lost focus of that. So it was really kind of hard to schedule your day when you don't know where you're going to end up, or you don't know what direction you're going. You're just kind of hoping to get in a good place. Well, what's the good place? And I think that God gives us, if we ask, I think that's a huge word that we can learn in this business is ask. Learn to ask. Learn to ask God for wisdom. Learn to ask God for clarity. Learn to ask God for direction, for vision. If we're His children, and His word tells us where there is no vision, people perish, and we know as His children we're not going to perish, then we also know He'll give us vision and wisdom as we ask. So ask Him to show you. Why am I in Plexus? What do you want me to do with this? Who do you want me to impact and why? And I feel like I have that now. So it helps me to structure my day in a way to where I know where this thing is going. I have a vision for the future with Plexus. And I used to think it was a rank. And it's such small thinking, at least on my part. It's so, I used to think kind of the rank was the end, it's a goal, and it is a goal, and goals are great. Even if your goal is a rank, I think it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but there's so much more than that. I used to think that, maybe diamond is the end, and then that's it. You've made it. Well, God's been showing me that's just the beginning of what He wants to do with us. So,
Because of the platform.
yeah, because of the platform. It's not because necessarily of the rank. It's because, there's a lot of diamonds whose marriages are falling apart. There's a lot of diamonds who need people they need ministered to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm starting to see a bigger picture of exactly what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing and where we're heading. And I'll just share my vision with you guys. I don't know that I've really shared it hardly at all, necessarily outside of our home. But so my personal vision is to go diamond in 2020. And then from that, as a husband and wife diamond team, is that Megan and I, the opportunities will open up for us to minister to people either in the network marketing industry or within Plexus itself. And not just minister to them in light of here's how to recruit, but more of family, faith, finances, and those things for people that are already in the industry. So now what does that look like in detail? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I see the need, and I want to help fill the gap for, high earners in network marketing and in Plexus. I also I have a vision for us going forward. Mexico really excites me. I don't know why. Australia does not excite me. New Zealand doesn't excite me. Canada doesn't excite me. But Mexico, for whatever reason, really lights my soul on fire. I can't even explain to you why. But the only 2 times I've even been to Mexico was once on our honeymoon and once when I was about 19 in the Army at a bar called Spanky's Number One Military, a bar in Juarez. So I don't have a lot of Mexican experience with Mexico, but for whatever reason, I see that one team will have a large presence in Mexico, and I see ministry opportunities down the road with that team in Mexico. I see a ministry being birthed out of that. And that gets me up in the morning. That helps me to just keep pushing forward when I'm told no several times a day. Mm-hmm. And because my why, this whole why thing, and I mentioned this the other night, our why has to be attached to a who. We operate at our highest, we operate at our best when we're helping, when we're serving. And, the scripture's clear. If you want to be the greatest at anything, serve mm-hmm. somebody, serve. Mm-hmm. That's something I was challenged with and encouraged with recently. Well, if you want to be great, serve. And that principle works in Christianity and without Christianity. It's like Apple. Why is Apple and Amazon so huge? Because they serve more people than everybody else. It's a principle. So anyway, those are some of the things I'm learning and some of the things that I'm looking forward to and pressing on towards in 2020. I've been really praying for contacts. I haven't really been pushing. I've been just praying that if this is God's will for this vision that I see for Mexico, that the contacts would just open up, and it's incredible. They're opening up. So I don't even know. I may even be flying down to meet with a missionary and his wife here shortly. Not like today shortly, but like in the beginning of the year. So, try to, my encouragement is find out what God wants you to do through this thing, because there's no doubt network marketing, if it's done correctly, can be a huge blessing for us, and it can be a huge blessing for other people. So my encouragement to you would be take a minute or two and just really pray, like, what do you want us to do with this? Because like I said, the opportunity is so big. It's too big for just to have stuff for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and the opportunity is so huge. It can impact so many different people. Well, who does he want us to impact and why? And I think once we start to figure that out, then it makes the vision's clearer. And then you can share the vision, and it gets you up in the morning. You don't get tired. You don't have to do the things. Because it's attached to people. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, that's just something I'm learning. I hope, you're encouraged with that. Anyway, that's really all I've
Mm-hmm.
got.
Yeah, I'll just share really quick before Amanda pops on that I personally have recommitted to IPA, income producing activities, that I was not doing simply because I felt like I didn't have the time, right? But what I found is I don't have to be committed to like 25 reach outs a day. I could do 5, and so I've been committing to a small doable amount. And one of the biggest things that helped was that Amanda helped me get organized with my lists, and she's going to be showing how to do those reports and Facebook friends lists and things like that on Wednesday on that techie call. So but I was really challenged with even Brooke's things. I had committed to this before I started Brooke's coaching, but I loved that she said the way that you build belief is to act. And she said, it's simple. She said, on our team, we say 3 new peeps a day, 3 asks. And she said, over a course of 90 days, like we talk about the 90-day rule, what happens, today will bear fruit in 90 days. And she said, many people simply have not asked enough for long enough. And she said, how many of you have been consistent for 45 days with that? And she was just challenging everyone, like committing to that process, committing to the small, it's like the slide edge, the small daily tiny things that accumulate in big ways over time. And she said, and this is truly the path to huge momentum and huge growth. And so I think a lot of times what happens is we rank up, or we push really hard, and we burn ourselves out a little bit to the point where we just take a 3-month break. So we're not doing the things, which for those 3 months, it's fine because we're still riding off the 90-day rule. But then because we have not been daily doing the small, consistent things, the next 3 months, and we're like, whoa, why are my points dropping? And it's that consistency thing. And she said, there's seasons in the year to dig in. She's like, if you are having a baby, having surgery, going on a 3-week family vacation, and your oldest is getting married, she's like, in that 90-day period, you might just maintain. That might not be your all-in 90-day phase. But she said, pick a phase throughout the year where you will dig in for 90 days. And she said, I have people that do the daily consistent things, the things that are going to move the needle forward, while they get infusions for their cancer treatments, after the birth of a baby, while traveling. She said, she's like, life is not going to slow down for us to work our business. Like, we're going to have to dig in and do the things and maintain growth. But I guess I was just really encouraged by that. And that's something that I've recommitted myself to IPA. And one of the big things is because I've delegated more and have been willing to outsource. And Amanda and I were talking about this the other day when we were walking. A lot of us are like, maybe like me, where we're perfectionistic and no one can do it as good as us. So why would I delegate this out to someone else? And I told Amanda, I'm like, well, the truth is you might find someone that's better than you to do the things. And it is that phase of uncertainty because you're not sure how it's going to pan out. But it's like, we don't know unless we try. Okay, I'm going to stop screen sharing for a sec. I see Amanda's on. Okay. Hello.
Hello. Hold on. There I am.
I see ya.
And my camera go the wrong way. Morning.
Good morning. So this is my friend Amanda. Some of you met her at the One Team Fall Fest. And she and I have been friends for, I don't know, since our kids were babies, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to share, I'll just let her introduce herself, and she's going to share the things that she helps us with in our business, and maybe debunk a little bit. We were talking about some of the things that hold us back from from outsourcing, leveraging, you know, getting some help to help us be more successful in our business. And this is one of those things where take the meat, throw out the bones. If it doesn't apply to you during the season, it's okay. Maybe chalk it up for, you know, down the road, or to consider, you know, I was talking, Brooke was on that coaching call talking about goals, leveraging and outsourcing. And for some people that may look like childcare. For other people that may look like an office assistant that can, you know, a college student, or, you know, Brooke was saying, you know, if you're involved in a church, she's like, there's reliable people that would be willing to do, you know, a couple hours a week of work for you, especially on stuff that drains you, or you're simply not getting done because it's an area of avoidance, like me, you know, avoiding some of those techie things. So Amanda, I'll turn it over to you and let you share a little bit about yourself, and then we can chat.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to meet you. Some of you I know, some of you I don't know. I'm looking forward to being able to meet all of you someday, though. That would be amazing. A little bit about myself. Like Megan said, we've been friends now for 10 plus years. We've known each other. I have been a Plexus user pretty much since Megan started, around 2015 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Love the products, love everything about it. I have a background in customer service. The only real technical background I have is just what I've taught myself over the years and what I've learned from my jobs that I've had. So I don't have like a degree. I don't have a marketing degree or anything like that. And that was part of what Megan and I were discussing when we talked about this last week, is I'm a perfect example of the fact that if you decide to hire someone to help you, they don't need to be a professional. Professionally educated, I guess, is the word I'm looking for here. A lot of what I do for Megan has been self-taught. I have Googled and YouTubed and figured it out, and we've figured it out together. The most important thing I feel to me is communication. You need to have really good communication between the two of you. And yeah, I think trust would be my second thing, my second most important thing in looking for someone to help you, no matter whether it's office help or childcare help or whatever it happens to be. Trust and communication are going to be your top two priorities. And if you can find someone that you can do those two things with, whether they have a formal education or not really isn't going to matter. Because what I do is fairly simple enough that anybody could learn how to do it. And anyway, let's run through my list of duties here. Megan, were you going to screen share my list, or?
Yeah, I'll do
okay. I'm just going to run down the list here real quick, and then if anybody has any questions, we can talk about that.
Yeah, Amanda and I had chatted about just in line of communicating, because she told me up front, she's like, I don't get offended easily. I've worked with the public for years. And
no,
so
I don't.
Encouraging because
I don't. I've like I said, I've been in customer service for well, pretty much since I started working when I was 14. I started in a service job. I worked at a restaurant, then I moved on to retail, then I moved on to banking. So
there we go. Sorry. Oh man, is there a way to pull this up? How do I get to my
here? On the left, click under where it says newsfeed, click where it says messenger on the left.
Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go.
Oh, there. Yes, so I kind of broke my list down by monthly and on demand, because basically those are the two categories of things that I do. I request the reports, I compile the reports, and I'll make a post to Facebook per Megan's request. I've done a little bit of studying kind of her past posts so that I get a feel for how she likes to talk, the hashtags she likes to use, the emojis that she likes to use, and things like that. So I kind of just have gone off of past posts and made them look, similar to what she's done going forward. I do the monthly calendar. She sends me the dates, and I create the graphic for that, and I post it and share it where she wants. I make the monthly team call graphic, and I share that too. The top enroller call graphic, those are things we do monthly. So all those things are on my list, and I just keep repeating every month, and she tells me what the dates are. I've been tracking points. She gave me a list of names, and I've been tracking everyone's points. I went all the way back to the beginning of the year, and I have an ongoing spreadsheet for that. They started doing Sign Up Genius coaching calls when I joined them. That was something she was wanting to do. And we kind of figured out how to make that happen, and we've been going forward with that monthly. So when you get the messages for the sign up, it probably came from me, even though it looks like it came from Megan. That is a little bit of a challenging thing, Sign Up Genius, but it works really well once you finally get it completed. I schedule all of her Zooms. There's multiple over the course of a whole month. And at the beginning of the month, I schedule all the ones that I know we're going to need. Typically, I create a new header for the one team group every month, and I get that posted. And I also create the new welcome post at the top of the month that you guys comment on with your new people. Those are things that we just repeat every month. If Megan and I can get together, I try to get that done sometime the last week of the month. In the beginning, we were kind of like scrambling for the first month or two, trying to figure out how to make the schedule work, but we've found a better rhythm. So,
well, I think like pre-planning, and that's been my right. Not my strength, but having Amanda helping has actually made me like know what we're doing, before the new month starts, and even thinking through the next 3 months. That was just kind of a novel idea for me.
Right. We've had a lot of conversations where we're just kind of brainstorming and kind of thinking ahead and planning, and then I'll kind of remind her and be like, okay, we need to do this by this day, don't forget. And it helps keep us both accountable. So on my on-demand list, these are all things that she asked me to do just whenever they need to be done, and then I do them. I do keep sample stock at my house. So I kind of keep an inventory of that. I order and keep that stocked whenever it needs to be done. I will also order product for her on demand when and if she needs it. Like when the 3-day sample box came out, things like that, special requests, whatever. I keep track of prizes, gifts, and any other supplies, packing and shipping supplies. I think maybe going forward, we might be keeping some gifts on hand. Prizes on hand, I keep all of those at my house, and I keep track of most of that. If she has anyone rank up, she sends gifties out to you all, so I kind of keep track of that, and I do all the mailing, most all of the mailing.
And even help me with ideas.
All of the things, yes. Sometimes we even talk about ideas and kind of figure out, what to get. If she needs to do any PayPaling, I take care of that. I do a lot of pre-scheduling on the groups. So challenges, any online events she's having, any IPAs, she tells me where to source it, and I actually do the scheduling on Facebook of it. A lot of times I will choose the winners of the giveaways from many of the events that she's had. I will contact them and I will mail their prizes to them. I don't do this every day. I don't even do it weekly, but every now and again when I have time, I will go through her Facebook messages. So hopefully you all understand by now that I value confidentiality. So I'm never going to speak about anything that you guys ever message her, but I do go through her messenger and I do go through her email.
And you flag things like, hey, there's someone that you need to respond to.
Exactly. That's the reason why I do it. I try to help her stay caught up and not miss people, because at the point where she's at right now, messages are handfuls, sometimes more than that every day. And it can get very overwhelming and messages get lost quickly. So I help her stay caught up with that and try not to let, things go for too long so she can respond timely. I have done email blitzes. I think we've done, 3 now, 3 different ones, maybe 4. She sends me
that.
Yes. Megan will send me a list of who she wants to email. For example, when Plexus Perks came out and it was kind of first starting, she wanted to email everyone in her organization level 1 plus customers. So I created an email. She sent me verbiage. I added photos. I copied and texted her verbiage, and then I emailed everyone on the list that she had asked for. That is something that I think can be very helpful to everyone if you're not already doing that. And it's really not that time consuming once you figure out how to get it done. And that is something I'm going to be talking about on Wednesday night, is how to actually create the email and get it done efficiently. It's really not that time consuming. And I have looked into MailChimp. Megan had mentioned to me someone had suggested MailChimp. I did look into that, but it does cost money. And I don't feel like the way that I'm doing it now is very time consuming. So I don't feel like spending money on something like MailChimp is worth it at this point in time. I've also done Facebook Messenger blitzes for her. A lot of times she wants to do reach outs. Mm-hmm. And it'll be, sometimes it's just, she wants to connect with old people. Sometimes Megan wants to invite a bunch of people to an event she's having online or whatever it happens to be. She'll send me the verbiage. She'll tell me who she wants it to go to, and I will actually send the messages.
And this is different than email. I feel like Facebook Messenger is more personal.
Yeah.
And I get a bigger response rate. And then same with texting. Texting obviously has to be done by me, but I do feel like those 2 avenues are way more personalized. And but Amanda's saving me a couple hours worth of time because she's individually messaging each of those people.
Right. The Facebook Messenger. Yes, I am logged in as Megan on Facebook when I do this. The Facebook Messenger is actually probably one of the most time consuming things that I do for her, because you have to do it individually. Mm-hmm. You can copy and paste the verbiage, but finding everyone in the messenger list, and then it's kind of a slow process, but it's worth it. Because like Megan said, she gets the most response from that. So
wholesalers appreciate it too. I get sweet messages like, hey, thanks for keeping me in the loop on things. And because a lot of those people aren't engaged in the team page, they're not seeing, maybe they're not opting into emails. So a lot of times they really don't know about the specials, or they don't know about the 3-day thing that we're having, or they, and so keeping them in the loop. And that's something that Amanda, I don't know if she's talked about it yet, but she will run reports so that I know who are the wholesale people, who are the people with consistent 0 PV, who are the people with partial PV consistently, and kind of having that subdivided into like, well, who are we targeting for this particular reach out campaign,
Right. And I did have reports on the list. Megan just mentioned that. From the back office, I printed her reports based off of, what she was looking for. So we did I think we did a level 1 report. I've done a Jules report. I've done a customer report. I haven't actually printed for her, I don't believe, a report of 0 to 99 PV, but I have pulled that up on the computer and utilized that to message people before. That is kind of something we started doing here recently, printing reports, and we'll continue to do going forward and updating as needed whenever she feels like she needs it. I do go through emails. I don't go through emails as often as it probably needs to be done at this point. But I do try to check for anything important that might come through there. That way she doesn't, things don't get lost. It's kind of like Facebook Messenger, the email, things can get lost quickly. Mm-hmm. So I try to help her, stay up with what's going on.
And the seasonal things too, like Christmas, you help immensely get gifts sent out. And, we ran that report of people that had ordered at least 4 times, the wholesalers that had at least ordered 4 times of 100 PV or more. And so having that list gave us like, okay, here's our target list for who's getting the postcard with the, special.
That's what we're going to be doing this week. The postcards mailing out to the people on her wholesalers list. So
I have a question.
Yes.
So how were you able to determine, like, I know how to export and make those lists, but how were you able to determine people who ordered 4 times in a year?
Your coach. Email Moises. Who's your coach? Jake?
Oh, actually, Jake is my coach.
Okay. Just email him and ask him for that report, and he'll send them over.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and Angie, what Megan did is she forwarded that message to me, so now I have the list and I know who to send the postcards to, but Megan did have to request that from her coach. So the other thing that I do, and this is my own personal preference, this isn't necessarily something that Megan told me to do, but this is something that I like to do for me, and it helps me, is I follow everything that's going on. All of her challenges, all of the groups that are active and things that are happening actively, I follow along. I don't usually comment, but I like to just be in the loop so that I can help her with anything that might come up. I like to stay informed. It kind of helps me do my job better and help her stay on track too, and not forget something. So, but that's kind of something that I just started doing on my own. She didn't exactly ask me to do that. Mm-hmm. I just felt like to better be able to do my job, I needed to stay informed. So I put that on the list, but I'm going to do a better job in 2020 of working on the email, because that needs to be cleaned up better. Email gets overwhelming. So yeah, that's going to happen more often in 2020 for sure. But that's basically everything in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we had kind of started out with, let's try this for a few months and do a trial period and see if we're a good fit for each other. And we had a lot of clear communication going in, like even you saying like, I don't get offended easily. I want to do it how you want to do it. So like if there's a graphic that she makes that I don't care for, like I don't feel like I have to just use it even if I don't like it. Like I feel like we have that clarity between us for me to say, well, that wasn't exactly what I was thinking. Let's see if we can. So like I'm super honest with her, and just knowing that she's not going to be one of those people that's like offended if it's not what
it doesn't bother me at all. And I think that's super important if you're looking for someone to help you, is this is Megan's business, not mine. So I'm here to help her and to do the things the way that she wants them done. When she asks for my opinion, I give it. We do talk a lot and flesh some things out, and that is helpful for both of us. That way we understand, you know, I understand where she's coming from, and she understands where I'm coming from, because like she said, she's not the super techie one. That's kind of my job. So we do flesh a lot of things out to make sure that we understand where each other's coming from.
Sometimes I'm not clear. You know, because like it saves me so much thinking space to be like, hey, Amanda, can you snag those people from the group that won such and such? And so, like, it saves me so much brain space because I can literally just tell it to her, and then she'll write it down and she'll go do it. And I don't have to think about it 10 more times to, like, for me to actually sit down and actually get it done. But one thing that we've realized is sometimes I assume that she knows what I mean, or she'll think through like, hey, did you think about, you know, this wrinkle with that incentive that you're offering, or where she'll catch some things that I didn't even think through. So that's been helpful to just have someone else to bounce ideas off of.
Right. Sometimes things crop up after she asks me to do something, and I'll be like, okay, well, we might have a little bit of an issue with this. So let's think about this a second. And then we figure out how to get it done. So, you know, little things come up like that sometimes, but that's where the communication is important. I'm not afraid to ask her questions, and I try to do as much as I possibly can without having to ask her a million questions. But every now and again, you just have to. So, and in order to be able to get it done the way she wants it done, you know, I'm not afraid to ask questions. So.
Can you explain what you're going to be sharing about on Wednesday on that techie call?
Oh, certainly. I have a little bit of an outline made already. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how to download the Facebook friends list and actually get it printed. The downloading is not the hard part. The printing it is the hard part. I felt like anyway for me. So I'm going to start with that. Then we're going to move on to just a little bit of back office business. You're going to need to be able to export reports in order to email Blitz. That's how I utilize that. So I'm going to show how to export the data and then how I manipulate an Excel spreadsheet to create the reports that Megan wants, and copy and paste email addresses so that you can email Blitz. And then I'm going to show how I created the emails for the blitzing that we did before. Adding the graphics, and then, you know, making it look pretty, like the ones that Plexus actually sends you guys. So.
I must have missed that somewhere along the line. When is that on Wednesday?
8 p.m. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central.
We probably need to pin it to the top of the team page again.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I missed that. I'm going to have to pop off because I have a training with my team, but thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you've shared, Amanda.
Thank you, Angie. Bye.
Yeah, Angie. I know you guys have to go, so we'll maybe just open it up for a few questions. But I would just encourage everyone to think about what you need in this particular season. Like everything that Amanda is doing for me, honestly, like we just started that and I should have done it a couple years ago. And I don't really know why I didn't, except that maybe it wasn't even on my brain. So I feel like you guys are better equipped just from a perspective standpoint of like, you know, if you get to the space in your business where you're like, whoa, like there's a lot of things that are just draining me that don't fuel me in my business, but they need to get done. And so consider your income and the work off percentages, like what percentage of your Plexus income could you leverage? And you might need to leverage forward and think through, okay, I am wanting to be Emerald in 2020. So how could I leverage myself? You know, how can I maximize the time, you know, and then think through what do you love to do in your business that no one else can do, and what would you rather delegate to someone? And like some of you have adult kids, and that could be delegated to even teenage kids or college.
Social media work especially.
Yeah, because you can, I mean, people have like Instagram I don't even know what they call them, assistants or whatever, that basically find leads for them, just searching hashtags and liking and commenting on people's things and then funneling people to you, which saves so much time and brain space. So even, you know, just thinking through, I know we were talking about, you know, people like Rachel Hollis or, you know, John Maxwell, or, you know, just people that are really fine-tuned at their trade. They're not doing all the techie stuff. they're doing their coaching or their podcast, and then someone else is doing all of that uploading, marketing, like all of those things around it. So I think we need to kind of let go of any fear of, you know, not being authentic because we're not doing it all, or this idea of, well, no one can do it as perfect as me, so I'm not going to leverage. You know, that, I think that mentality will hold us back in a big way. So, okay, those are my thoughts. But yeah, if you have questions, put them in the comments or just unmute real quick and Amanda can snag those and then we'll.
Yes, please. I'm an open book. Ask me anything.
Melody said, so you use a program to send emails? I know you said you don't use MailChimp. When I've sent out group emails from my Outlook, it locks me out and flags me saying I'm sending spam. So I think I need something like MailChimp.
Well, Megan's mail service is through Yahoo, so I just use Yahoo Mail. I've never had a problem with it.
Didn't you say you can only send so many at a time, though?
I can. Yahoo Mail will only let you send so many at a time. So the very first email blitz that I did for her, it wouldn't let it, the message wouldn't send. It gave me an error and it said I had too many email addresses in there. And I think we were doing, I don't know, 150 to 200 or something. So I have to break her list down, and I'll put one email address in the to field. I will put the rest of the email addresses in the BCC field, and I'll only do about 50 at a time. So I'll do that. I'll send the first message with the first 50 email addresses, and then I will just recreate the email and do another 50 addresses and do another 50 until I have the whole list done. I usually only have to do it 3 times. I think one time I had to do it 4 times because it kind of depends on who she's wanting to reach out to. But the most I've ever had to repeat was 4 times. And it really doesn't take that long because all I do is copy and paste the first email into a new message and just plug in the email addresses and send it. So it takes about 2 minutes to repeat.
I'm adding, so I'm copying and pasting the list into the Ruby thread, and I'm also putting on there the seasonal work. Like she did a lot of organizing and the logistic stuff for the retreat, the one day fall fest thing. She's gonna be doing a lot for the retreat coming up in February. The 60-day journal, she bent over backwards for to get that pushed out. It was crazy town.
Yes, we basically did that whole thing from scratch. Between Megan and I, we did that whole thing from scratch. We created it ourselves 100%, and it was crazy town there for a little bit. But we got it done, and now we know we kind of have a base to go off of for next time. So
right, and some of this stuff is like we're slowing down to speed up, you know, like creating the Christmas. I know Jessica Heffley's assistant has been like organizing all her Christmas card contacts, the people that and like just having those in an Excel spreadsheet, like that takes time, but she's like, it'll be done for next year. Boom, not a big deal. Then you can print off the address labels and it's done. Amanda also created I put a picture in the Ruby thread of the postcards that we're sending out. I ended up just using the picture from last year of our Christmas picture that we had taken. And I'm sending them out to wholesale people or consistent users and putting like a little special on some of them that maybe haven't ordered consistently for a while. And then Amanda, like she created the postcard, like everything, and figured out like what was the cheapest way to print them and that kind of thing. And then I sent her verbiage, she helped me tweak it. And then we're currently getting ready to push out something in January as a retention tool for new ambassadors and even customers, more of like a product guide. similar to Brooks that she has for her team. So we should have that done. And then we're going to create another resource for some coaching, like an 8-week coaching course I'm going to do in March. So that's kind of some things on the docket. But you guys can unmute if you have some other questions for Amanda, or stick them in the chat real quick.
Yes, and one thing I forgot to mention, on Wednesday night, I am going to talk a little bit about graphics. That is something that I had zero experience in when I started working with Megan. I mean, zero. I had used Pic Collage just a little bit, but that was it, really. I kind of had to teach myself how to do those. I am fortunate in the fact that I have a graphics friend. That is her job. She has a marketing and graphic design degree. So I messaged her right at the get-go and said, what do I need to use for a program, and show me some examples. And she kind of gave me a little quick crash course. So I use Canva online. I do not use the Canva app. I find the app very, very confusing. So I use Canva online. And that's how I've been doing most of Megan's graphics. Now, sometimes I will use Pic Collage. It depends on what we're doing. But for the things that I did for the journal and the postcards that I made and other things, I've been using Canva almost for everything. Melody, I wonder if, is your mail service based out of another program and then it's sending it through Outlook? I wonder if you could go to your original mail service, because I thought that Outlook, you had to have another email platform connected to Outlook in order to use that. Am I wrong about that? I'm not sure. That might be something to look into. Like, we use Outlook at our house, but okay, Hotmail too. But our Outlook is actually our original email platform sent through Outlook. And we just use Outlook to open the emails. I wonder if you went to your original platform like Hotmail, if you would have better luck sending your email blitzes. It wouldn't be spam. Outlook wouldn't be flagging you as spam. Yes. Yes, Melody. I think that maybe you should try that if the next time you want to do one and see.
All right.
Bye, Stephanie.
Bye, Steph.
Yes. Does anybody else have any questions?
Looks like we're good to go.
Okay.
Lots to process. Oh, good.
Yeah, lots to process. That's right.
Well, it's interesting. I think, it's easy in this business to kind of get your head down and just work and do the things. And I think that one thing we have to be doing is letting our teams know what we're doing, even if it's maybe earlier than you think that they need it or whatever. And so this hashtag what I'm doing, I really want to be more, not just more present, but more, I guess, more clear, maybe I'm like what I'm doing. I always appreciate when Jessica Heffley shares things, just because sometimes it's stuff I've never thought about, or I'm like, oh, that's a different way to think about things. Let me frame that, let me hear that and process that and think about like how maybe that can be applied to my business or where I'm at, or maybe, in the next year, what I might need to consider doing. Cool. All right. Well, Amanda, thanks for popping on. Looks like maybe
Thanks for
we're not
having me.
walking this morning. Too snowy.
Too snowy. I don't know that we could have made it anyway.
I know. Yeah, we might have to go sledding or something later with the kids.
There you go.
Okay. Well, you guys have a great day. We will be chatting this week, I'm sure. All right. Thank you, Amanda.
Bye. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
girls.